Before we begin, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more bedtime stories. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from, and what time it is. And if there's a story you'd like to hear next, I'd love to know that too. Working at McDonald's has ruined my life. I thought it would just be a way to save money for the future while I studied at my local college. But it turned out to be the thing that ripped my future from my grasp. It all started in the summertime. Was working the drive-through window, one of the most monotonous jobs you can do at McDonald's. All the orders passed through my hands and into car windows in one blurred routine. Despite serving dozens of customers that day, there was one woman I'll never forget. She was in the passenger seat of a car driven by her whipped-looking boyfriend. She had this awful helmet-looking wig of ketchup-red hair that didn't match her style at all. I looked up at the order screen. Her boyfriend had ordered a Big Mac meal with a large Sprite, and she'd gotten a 10-piece McNugget meal with a large High C. I made sure they got exactly what they ordered. I handed over the drinks first, then held out the food bag. Her boyfriend didn't take it. Instead, she reached over, snatched the bag from my hand, and gave me this dirty, ravenous glare. I just ignored it. You see all kinds of weird stuff at the drive-thru. "Have a nice day," I said as they sped off. I thought that would be the last I'd ever see of her. I was wrong. Not even a minute later, she walked into the restaurant. I saw her standing there with her hands on her hips, waiting to speak to a manager. She was fuming. By the time I finished making a McFlurry, my manager was already with her. They started yelling, loud. "You come into my establishment and insult my employees? What the hell do you think you're doing in here? I ought to take you out back and rip that damn wig off you," my manager snapped. She spat in his face. He slapped her. He immediately regretted it and disappeared into his office. That's when she went berserk. She started screaming, throwing cups and condiments, and knocking over displays. She hurled a cup of straws across the floor. "You think I'm stupid? I got a 10-piece, not a 9-piece. Maybe I should rip off one of your fingers and see how you like it." She was unhinged. Several co-workers tried to calm her down, but she was unstoppable. She grabbed one of the plexiglass shields from the counter and threw it toward an employee. The edge sliced someone's temple, blood pouring down their shirt. "Where's that witch that gave me my food? She needs a good beating," she screamed. Then she jumped the counter. She locked eyes with me and lunged. But the other employees caught her before she reached me and threw her out. She kept coming back, over and over, storming in to throw more things until my manager shouted, "The cops are on their way. You really want to throw your life away over one chicken nugget?" That made her finally disappear. The police arrived an hour later, took statements, reviewed the footage, but we never heard if she got caught. Months passed. The chaos of that day faded from memory. Then one evening, while I was working the drive-thru again, I saw her car pull up. My stomach dropped. She ordered the exact same thing. When she came to the window, that same red wig framed her face. But now her expression was worse. A deranged, hungry smile. She didn't speak, just stared at me as she took the food and slowly drove off, maintaining eye contact until she was gone. I thought about calling the cops, but figured she'd just count her nuggets and move on. I was wrong again. That night, after my shift ended, I remembered seeing her and felt uneasy. I pulled out my keychain and gripped the tiny pink bottle of pepper spray I'd had since high school. Probably expired, but better than nothing. I stepped outside, walking quickly toward my car. Then, I heard footsteps, fast ones, right behind me. She was coming. Instinct kicked in. I turned and sprayed her right in the eyes, then bolted for my car. When I looked back, she was staggering, rubbing her face, her eyes red and swollen, but still standing. Then she screamed, a guttural, animalistic sound, and charged at me. I barely got the door open and locked it before she reached me. But then, crash! A rock smashed through my window. Glass flew everywhere. Her arms reached in, grabbed me by the hair, and dragged me out over the broken shards. She clawed at my face, her nails slicing my skin open as she shrieked, "This will teach you to disrespect me, you little punk. You gonna remember me?" I didn't fight back. I just tried to protect my car key so she couldn't steal it. Then my manager came running, yelling for her to stop. She dropped me and bolted into the night. The police never found her. I quit my job. Moved back in with my parents. Missed my college graduation because my face was too disfigured to show in public. Now I hardly leave the house because I'm terrified that one day she'll find me again. And this time, she won't stop at scars. Around the early 2000s, there was a strange phenomenon people called the clown epidemic. All over the country, reports flooded in about people being chased by clowns. Most cases were written off as pranks, but even if it was all a joke, it was still horrifying. This next story was inspired by footage from that time, a Ronald McDonald terrorizing someone at an actual McDonald's. Here's what really happened. It all began with a college student named John. He was studying at a nearby campus and lived with his roommate Brad in a small student apartment. Brad was an obnoxious guitarist, always practicing, always loud. To escape the noise, John would head to the local 24-hour McDonald's to study. It became his nightly ritual. Grab a meal, sit in a corner booth, open his textbooks, and work through the quiet hours. There were always a few other night owls, some law students, the occasional truck driver, and one woman who came every single night to read. Everyone knew her as the bookworm. One night around 2:50 a.m., John stepped up to the counter. "Hello, sir, welcome to McDonald's. How may I take your order?" the cashier said flatly. "Just a Big Mac and a small Coke, please." "All right, sir, and would you like fries with that?" John frowned. "No, thank you." "Are you sure, sir? It's almost 3 a.m. Okay? So what?" "All right, sir. That'll be $8.19 after tax." The way the cashier said that 3 a.m. line made John's skin crawl. Still, he paid and took his tray to his usual table. About 10 minutes later, the familiar bookworm hurried past his table, pale and shaking. "It's almost time," she whispered. "You should probably get some fries. Now." "What? What are you talking about?" John asked, confused. She leaned in closer. "Hurry up. We don't have much time." Then she ran to the counter. Against his better judgment, John followed her lead and ordered a large fry. When they both sat back down, John confronted her. "I got the fries. Now what?" She spoke without looking up. "I recommend you just sit and wait. It's nearly 3 a.m. any second now." John sighed. "Lady, seriously, what the hell is going on?" She turned toward him, her face pale, eyes wide. "You don't know about him?" "Who? The clown? You mean Ronald McDonald?" She nodded slowly. "That's why they always ask, 'Would you like fries with that?' Because if you don't, he'll turn you into a McFlurry." John was about to laugh when he heard the sound of a doorbell chime, the door opening. A voice, cheerful but wrong, echoed through the restaurant. "Hello, young lads. Such a fine couple you are. Care to share some delectable fries?" "Pretty please?" John froze. Standing by the counter was Ronald McDonald, or something that looked like him. His makeup was smeared. His yellow jumpsuit was torn and greasy, and his grin stretched wider than humanly possible. Sure, sir," John stammered. Pushing his fry container forward, the clown's head twitched toward him and he smiled. Good. I'll catch you all next time. And make sure to have fries with your Big Macs. And happy meals." Then, as suddenly as he arrived, he left. The bookworm exhaled shakily. "See? You're fine, as long as you have fries." John kept studying there for weeks after that night, and sure enough, every single night at exactly 3 a.m., the clown would appear, always asking for fries, always smiling that horrifying, painted grin. Nobody screamed. Nobody ran. They all just played along, quietly offering him fries like tribute. John began warning other students, but no one believed him, not even Brad. Finally, one night, John convinced Brad to come with him. Brad mocked the entire thing, laughing it off as some creepy local myth. When 2:50 a.m. rolled around, John noticed everyone in the restaurant getting up and walking to the counter to order fries. Everyone except Brad. "Dude, what are you doing?" John whispered. Get the fries. Bro, I'm not buying fries because of some imaginary clown, Brad said, leaning back with a smirk. The clock struck 3 a.m. The door opened. That same cheerful voice echoed through the restaurant. Well, smells like this batch was fresh off the fryer. The clown entered, his oversized red shoes squeaking on the tile floor. He moved table to table, collecting his offerings. Then he turned toward John and Brad. Look what we have here. John's blood went cold. Brad sat there holding a handful of fries in his bare hand, smirking. John looked down at his own fry container. Empty. The bookworm's voice echoed in his mind. I recommend you always have fries on hand, or else he'll turn you into a McFlurry. Before John could react, Brad screamed, a horrible, guttural sound. The lights flickered. The clown leaned over their table. When the lights came back on, Brad was gone. In his place sat a half-melted McFlurry cup, dripping with red streaks. John never went back to that McDonald's. In fact, the location closed down months later for renovations. But to this day, people online still claim that if you go to a 24-hour McDonald's at 3 a.m., the staff will ask that same question. Even if you already ordered fries. Would you like fries with that? It's not a suggestion, it's a warning. When I was a kid, we didn't have much money. My mom raised me alone while working 2 jobs, so I spent most of my time by myself in our small apartment. Food was always simple and cheap. So, for dinner, I'd often walk to the McDonald's just around the corner. All I needed were a few quarters for a Happy Meal, and that was enough to fill my stomach. When I wasn't eating, I was online. Back then, this was before smartphones or social media. No Instagram, no Facebook, not even MySpace yet. The big thing then was chat rooms. You'd just type in your name, age, and city, and you could talk to random people near you. It felt exciting, even safe. That's how I met John. He said he was my age, into the same games. We even played the original Counter-Strike together online. For weeks, we talked every day. Then one evening, he suggested we meet up. I didn't have a car or even bus fare, so I told him the only place I could easily get to, the McDonald's near the big intersection by my apartment. He said that was perfect. He'd be wearing a green jacket and meet me there at 6 p.m. I was so excited. I'd never met anyone from the internet before. Took some quarters from my mom's coin jar, enough for a Happy Meal, and walked there early. The employees all knew me. I was practically a regular, so I sat down in a booth near the window and waited. Came, then 6:10, then 6:15, no one in, a green jacket. That's when I noticed him. A man stood near the window, wearing a long trench coat, just staring at me. The moment I made eye contact, he started walking toward me, slow, deliberate steps. When he reached my table, he held a Happy Meal box over the edge of it. You look hungry, little boy, he said softly. Would you like something from my Happy Meal? I swallowed hard. No, I'm good, thanks. I'm just waiting for someone. Oh? His smile widened. Are you waiting for John? My stomach dropped. He knew the name. He's my son, the man said calmly. He called me and said he was coming to meet someone here. I didn't want him walking alone, so I came early to make sure he was safe. Then he sat down, right next to me in the booth instead of across from me. He rested the Happy Meal box in his lap, not on the table. He leaned in, whispering, I bought this for the 2 of you. Go ahead, have some. I didn't know what to think. Part of me believed him. After all, how else would he know John's name? And honestly, I was hungry. So hesitantly, I reached into the Happy Meal box. There wasn't any food inside, no burger, no fries, nothing, just something wet and clammy, like soft rubber or skin. And when I tried to pull it out, it wouldn't budge, like it was attached to something. Before I could say anything, a voice interrupted. Everything okay over here? It was a McDonald's employee, the manager, I think. The man flinched. He snapped the Happy Meal box shut and smiled too wide. Yeah, we're fine, he said quickly. Just spending some quality time with my son. The manager frowned. "Sir, that boy comes in here every day. I know for a fact he's not your son." The man's eyes darted to the window. He pointed and said, "You see out there? My other son is waiting right outside. Get out," the manager said firmly. "Right now. I'm calling the cops." Before she could move, the man threw the Happy Meal box aside and bolted out the door, vanishing into the street. The manager ran after him but couldn't catch him. I just sat there shaking. The manager came back, picked up the phone, and called my mom. She made me wait at the restaurant until my mother arrived. When Mom finally showed up, we didn't say much on the drive home. I think she was too scared to even process it. But something about that night stuck with me. The box. When I got up to leave, I noticed it lying on the floor. For reasons I can't explain, I picked it up. It was empty except for a hole cut in the bottom, a perfect circle, about 2 inches wide. At the time, I didn't understand. But years later, I did. Months after the incident, my mom and I were watching a TV show, the kind where they catch predators. The camera cut to a man in a trench coat being led away in handcuffs. The reporter said he had been caught at another McDonald's, just a few towns over, and the moment I saw his face, my stomach dropped. It was him, the man with the Happy Meal. I realized then what he had planned for me that night, what was really in that box, and what would have happened if that manager hadn't walked up when she did. I can still hear his voice sometimes echoing in my head. "Go on, kid, reach in there, be fair to John." My life will never be the same because of one night. I was driving home from a friend's house located on the outskirts of the city. On both sides of the lonely road stretched endless cornfields, whispering softly under the cool night wind. My house was still 40 minutes away, and I could hear my stomach growling angrily. There were no lights, no houses, not even a distant car in sight. Then I saw a left turn, a shortcut. I took it, hoping to get home faster. The scenery changed immediately. The cornfields vanished, replaced by dark, silent woods. Owls hooted somewhere deep inside, and the faint howls of coyotes reminded me how far I was from home. Still, I didn't want to stop. I just kept driving, staring into the long stretch of asphalt ahead. After a few kilometers, I finally saw something that made me sigh in relief. A McDonald's, a single bright spot in the middle of the dark woods. I drove into the empty drive-thru and stopped near the window. A skinny teenage boy was sitting behind the counter, dozing off. I honked twice. He jerked awake and blinked rapidly. I'm sorry, sir, I was just..." "Relax, man," I said with a smile. "It's okay to be tired." He smiled back weakly. "What can I get you?" "I'll have a Big Mac, 1 small fries, and an iced tea." "Okay, sir. Give me a few minutes." He disappeared inside the restaurant, probably the only one working that night. While waiting, the urge to pee hit me suddenly. I got out of the car and walked to the public toilet at the corner of the drive-thru. Just as I was about to close the door, I froze. A man dressed as Ronald McDonald was sitting on a bench nearby. His painted face was pale, his red wig messy and greasy. He stared at the ground, looking sad, almost about to cry. Then, without warning, he looked up. Our eyes met. A crooked smile stretched across his face, showing broken yellow teeth. His eyes were huge yet drowsy, locked on me with a hypnotic stare. His cheeks were so sunken I could see his bones pressing through the skin. He stood up slowly, then started to jog, in place and not moving closer, just bouncing up and down with that same horrible grin. "What a creep," I muttered, slamming the toilet door shut. While I was doing my business, I heard it, a muffled sobbing sound. It wasn't loud, but it was close, like someone crying quietly, trying not to be heard. I whispered to myself, "Is that guy crying? What the hell is wrong with him?" The sobbing suddenly stopped. Silence. I hesitated, hand on the door, wondering what I'd see when I opened it. Bang! A loud knock almost made my heart jump out of my chest. Sir, are you in there?" It was the teenage employee's voice. I opened the door and sighed in relief. He was standing there holding a paper bag. "Your food is ready." "Oh, yeah," I said nervously. "I just had to take a leak." We walked back to my car, together. As I reached for my wallet, I glanced at the bench. Empty. That Ronald guy was gone. Seeing me stare, the boy asked, "Is something wrong, sir?" I chuckled awkwardly. "No, it's just, your Ronald McDonald guy is pretty creepy. He'd scare kids away." He frowned. "Ronald McDonald guy? What are you talking about?" "The man who was sitting there in costume a minute ago." "Sir, we don't have anyone like that here. I'm the only one on duty tonight." A cold chill ran down my spine. I handed him the cash quickly and drove off, trying to laugh it off. The night air felt heavy. I rolled down the window and muttered, "Some crazy guy creeped me out and I acted like a child. The kid must think I'm an idiot." I reached for the music player to calm myself down. Then I heard it, a squeaky laugh from the back seat. My hands froze on the steering wheel. My heart thumped so loud it drowned out the engine. Slowly, I looked into the rearview mirror. A dark figure was sitting there. The dim light from the passing street lamps revealed a man with a curly red wig and a painted smile that stretched across his pale face. Ronald McDonald. I couldn't even scream. Something cold and metallic touched my neck. "You shouldn't have closed the door on me, mate." I stammered, What do you want?" "I want to show you how sharp this knife is. Hand me your iced tea. Come on, do it." Okay. I handed him the cup. He placed it on my shoulder and sliced the bottom with his knife. The tea poured all over me. He burst into laughter. Loud, manic laughter. I sat there trembling, soaked and terrified. Look, mister." "Call me Ronald." "Yes, Ronald. Please, forgive me for disrespecting you earlier." "That's a good start. Now drive, I'll tell you where to stop." I did exactly as he said. He grinned the entire time, watching me like a predator. After a few minutes, he suddenly shouted, "That's it. Stop right there. We're going to have some fun tonight." My heart pounded so hard I could barely breathe. Knew if I got out, I'd never come back. So I pretended to slow down, hands trembling on the gear stick. "Are you going to stop or should I make you?" No, I'm stopping." I slowed the car but kept the engine running. He opened the door, one foot stepping outside. That's when I slammed my foot on the gas. But in my panic, I hit reverse. The car shot backward, crashing into him. He fell with a horrifying scream. I hit him again, the tire running over his leg. I could hear the bones crunching. I screamed, "Eat shit, you freak!" And this time I put the car in drive and sped off. In my rearview mirror, I saw him get up. He stood on one good leg, grinning wider than ever, blood pouring down his leg. He hopped after me, screaming into the dark night, "I'm Ronald McDonald. No one gets away from me." His voice echoed in my head long after he disappeared from sight. I don't remember how I got home that night, but since that day, I've never eaten at McDonald's again. There's something wrong with the night shift at my McDonald's, something none of the morning workers ever experience, because whatever it is, it only happens after midnight. I've been working here for 8 months. I'm 21, broke, and trying to save up for college. The pay isn't great, but the free meals and quiet nights made it worth it. Or at least, that's what I thought. It started about 3 weeks ago. I was on drive-through duty, sitting half asleep at the headset, when I heard it, a weird sound of static, like a walkie-talkie cutting in and out. I adjusted the volume, thinking it was interference. Then through the crackle, a voice came. Hunger. Hungry. It was deep, drawn out, almost inhuman. I pressed the talk button and said, "Hello? Welcome to McDonald's. Can I take your order?" Silence. I waited a few seconds. Then the voice came again, louder this time. Hungry. "I want meat." I thought it was some kind of prank. Teenagers do that a lot around here. So I said sarcastically, "Sure, buddy. Drive around to the window and I'll make you a triple meat monster special." No response. Just the sound of deep breathing, then static, and then nothing. I laughed it off and went back to cleaning the counter. But around 10 minutes later, the sensor light outside flickered on. A car had pulled up to the window, an old, rusted black van. The paint was chipped, and one of the headlights was dead. I hesitated before opening the window. The glass was fogged up from inside the van. "Sir," I said, "did you place an order?" A hand reached out from the fogged glass, long fingers, pale and shaking. In its grip was a crumpled $5 bill. "Burger, extra meat." His voice was low and gravelly, like someone who hadn't spoken in years. I stared, trying to see his face, but the darkness inside the van swallowed it completely. I forced a smile. "Sure thing, sir. Please drive forward. I'll get it ready." He didn't move. He just kept his hand stretched out, trembling. The smell coming from the van hit me then. Rotting meat, like spoiled beef left out in the sun. My stomach turned. "Sir, please pull ahead. You're blocking the van engine," suddenly roared, and it sped off, disappearing into the night. When I walked back inside, my manager, Pete, was cleaning the fryer. I told him what happened, and he laughed. "Probably some junkie messing around, happens all the time. Don't worry about it." Still, the smell lingered. I couldn't get it out of my nose. A few nights later, it happened again. Same static, same whisper. "Hungry. I want meat." This time I didn't respond, but a few minutes later the same black van pulled in, engine humming, windows fogged. I froze. Pete was out back smoking, so I was alone. The voice came again, muffled through the glass. "You make good burgers, but not enough meat." I couldn't tell if he was joking or serious. My hands were trembling as I spoke into the mic. "Sir, if you want a larger order, we can..." "No, I want real meat." I frowned. "What do you mean, real? The kind that screams when you bite it?" The words hit me like ice water. "Sir, I'm calling the police." "Oi." Before I could move, the van's door slammed open, and from the passenger seat something fell out. A blood-soaked fast food uniform. The name tag said, "Derek." He was one of our employees. He had gone missing 2 weeks earlier. I screamed and stumbled back. By the time Pete came running in, the van was gone. No plate number, no witnesses, nothing. The cops checked the security camera footage. That's when it got worse. On the screen, the van was there, headlights on, engine idling. But when the door opened, no one came out. Just the uniform floating in midair before dropping to the ground. They called it a glitch. I called it hell. The police questioned me for hours, but they found no leads. Derek was declared missing. The next week, the restaurant reopened. I begged Pete to switch me to day shift, but he said, "You're my best night guy, don't worry. If the van comes back, call me." So I stayed. Every night since, I've kept my phone ready and my eyes on the cameras. Then last night, something changed. The order came in again, same static, same voice. But this time, he said something new. "I found a new recipe. You'll love it." I froze. "What the hell are you talking about?" "You'll see, I left it for you behind the dumpster." My stomach dropped. I grabbed Pete and told him what I heard. He rolled his eyes, thinking I was paranoid, but agreed to check. We walked out back together. The night was silent. The air smelled like grease and damp trash. Pete turned on his flashlight and moved a few boxes. And there it was, a McDonald's takeout bag, soaked with something dark. He opened it. Inside was a half-eaten burger, and a human finger tucked between the buns. Pete dropped the bag and started gagging. I backed away, shaking. The smell of rot filled the air again, the same smell from the van. The cops came again. They taped off the whole area and told us not to talk about it publicly. They found no prints, no tire marks, nothing. But I know he's still out there, because tonight when I came in for my shift, there was a note on my locker, written in ketchup. "Next time, I'll try your meat." Now I'm sitting here, headset on, staring at the drive-through camera. It's 2:57 a.m. and I just heard it again. "Hungry. I want you." I don't know how long she's been working there. But every time I pass by that old McDonald's near the highway, she's always there, standing behind the counter, smiling, and never blinking. It started about 6 months ago, on a foggy night in late February. I was driving home after a long business trip, exhausted and starving. The road was dead silent except for the hum of my car engine and the occasional buzz of streetlights flickering overhead. Then I saw it, a glowing yellow M in the distance. It felt like salvation. I pulled in. There were no other cars, no movement, just a faint glow coming from inside the restaurant. I thought it was odd that a 24-hour McDonald's was completely empty at 1:30 in the morning, but I didn't care. I needed food. When I walked in, the automatic door chime rang, but no one greeted me. The smell of fries and grease hung thick in the air, but it felt stale, the kind of smell that lingers when food has been sitting too long. Then she appeared from behind the counter, a young woman, maybe in her late 20s, uniform spotless, hair tied perfectly, and her smile, wide, plastic, unmoving. "Welcome to McDonald's. How may I serve you tonight?" Her voice was calm and soft, but there was something off about it, like she was repeating a line from memory, not speaking to an actual person. I ordered a cheeseburger combo and a Coke. She nodded, typed something into the register, and then just stood there smiling. I waited. 30 seconds. A full minute. She didn't move. She didn't even blink. I cleared my throat. Miss?" Her head tilted slightly to the side, just a few degrees, and her smile twitched wider. "It will be ready shortly." Then she turned and walked to the back, her steps stiff and mechanical. While waiting, I looked around. Everything seemed too clean. Not just organized, sterilized. Even the ketchup dispensers gleamed like they'd been polished for inspection. Then I noticed something stranger. The menu screen above the counter wasn't showing food. It was looping a security camera feed, grainy footage of the restaurant itself. In the video, the dining area was completely empty. But behind the counter, where I was standing, there was someone else. A second woman. Identical uniform, identical hair, identical smile, except she was standing behind me. My blood ran cold. I turned around instantly. No one was there. Just the faint hum of the soda machine and the buzz of the lights. When I looked back at the screen, the other woman was gone too. A few moments later, the cashier returned with my food. "Here you go," she said, her hand trembling slightly as she placed the tray on the counter. Thank you." Her eyes locked on mine, and she still wasn't blinking. It wasn't just creepy, it was wrong. Humans blink about 15-20 times a minute. She didn't blink once. I sat down at a corner table, trying to eat quickly and get out. But every time I looked up, she was still staring at me from the counter. Same pose, same lifeless smile. Finally, I stood up, leaving my half-eaten burger. As I turned to leave, her voice echoed behind me. "Did you enjoy your meal?" I froze. Her voice was different now. Lower, almost distorted, like it was coming through an old speaker. I turned around slowly. She was still behind the counter, but her head was tilted further now, almost unnaturally sideways. Her neck made a faint cracking sound. "Come again. Soon." I bolted out of there, heart pounding, fumbling for my keys. When I looked back through the glass door, she was still standing there, watching me, motionless, face pressed against the window, and for a split second, I thought I saw someone else standing behind her, a figure in the same uniform, no face, just a blank white shape where the eyes and mouth should have been. Then the lights inside flickered, and the restaurant went dark. I didn't go back. For months, I avoided that exit completely. But a few nights ago, curiosity got the better of me. I drove by again just to see if the place was even open. The building was abandoned, boarded up. Windows shattered, grass growing through cracks in the parking lot. As I drove past, I noticed something faint glowing behind the dusty glass. A single lit-up register screen, flickering blue, and on it, in digital letters, "Order complete." Come. Again soon, right next to it, a small shape standing behind the counter, smiling, not blinking.